guys, welcome back. So today I wanted to sit down and do like a little comparison of some of the eyeshadow primers that I've tried over the last year or so and talk about some of the ones that I think are not that great and some of the ones that I think are freaking amazing. So if you want to see my thoughts on some of the like most popular eyeshadow primers, then just keep watching. So if y'all followed me for a while, you know that I have really greasy, oily eyelids that eyeshadow just disappears off really, really quickly, especially during the summer, but all year long. Really, it's a ridiculous thing. So I can't use concealer as an eyeshadow primer. I just can't. I know a lot of people prefer using concealer because it does, you know, block out all of the like veins and redness and discoloration and whatnot, and that's amazing. I just can't do it, so I have to have an eyeshadow primer. So I'm gonna start with the like absolute worst one, and then I'll work my way up to my favorite. So I would say the worst one that I've tried is the Milani eyeshadow primer. Now I would say this one would work well for you if you don't have oily eyelids and you want an eyeshadow primer that's just going to give you a nice base for your eyeshadow, something that's going to just kind of prep your eyelids. I don't know, it doesn't do that much. Some people say that it like really intensifies their eyeshadow, which I never really noticed, but this is so oily to start out with. If you have oily eyelids, this is gonna do you no favors whatsoever. This made my eyeshadow disappear faster than it normally does, which is not what I'm looking for, especially for an extra step. Like this in itself is just a little too oily to start with to do much for my oily eyelids. The next one that I want to talk about is the Smashbox Photofinish Lid Primer Light. So this is their tinted one, not the clear one or anything. This product is odd to me because it's very, very thick and kind of dry, and so you would think that it would really mattify the lids and keep it set all day long, but it just doesn't. I don't know if it just can't stand up to my oil and it just breaks down really quickly or what, but I felt like, again, my eyes got oilier when I wore this than when I didn't. Not to mention the color, I don't know if you can see, but it is really, really, really dark, like 3 to 4 shades darker than my skin tone. So you can kind of see it wherever I put it. If I don't like perfectly cover it with eyeshadow, you can kind of see it, which kind of annoys me because I like to take my eyeshadow primer from lash line up to brow bone just to really blank everything out, and I can't do that with this product because it's so dark you can see it anywhere, which I really was not a fan of. So the next primer is the NYX Pigment Primer. So they have two different primers now. They have the Pigment Primer and the Glitter Primer, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. This one I wasn't as much of a fan of. Now I know that this is not supposed to be like a mattifying primer or anything like that, and I'm not knocking points off for that at all. But this is a very like thin moisturizing primer, and it just doesn't get sticky enough to do even what it claims to do. Like I don't find that it clings onto eyeshadow that well. I don't find that it makes them look more intense. I don't find that it, you know, lengthens the wear time at all. I just kind of feel like I'm moisturizing my eyelids when I'm using this, which is odd. I do like the color though. It comes out as like a light green, which I find can really help combat some of the redness that happens on my eyelids because I'm not using concealer, so I can't like really conceal and blank everything out. So having a little bit of corrector in there really does help, but this just didn't do enough for the actual eyeshadow to make it that great. But it also didn't make my eyeshadow worse, which is why it's sitting in the middle of this list and not at the bottom. The next one was the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion, just the original one, and I love this one. It's really, really great, but I find in the summer it doesn't do quite as much as I need it to. On an everyday basis, it's great. It's just when I'm sweating outside in the summer heat, I need something that's like really, really tough and is really going to keep my eyeshadow on, and this one doesn't do that. So while I love this one and I wholly recommend it for the majority of the year. If you're outside a lot during the summer, sweating a lot, this doesn't do quite as much. So the next one is the Glitter Primer, and I like this one more because it's thicker and stickier, and it has more of a tint to it, so it does kind of help blank out my eyeshadow much more than the others. As I blend it out, it's like a really, really thick moisturizer, but it like really thickens up as you blend it out, and it just gets so ridiculously sticky on the skin. It really clings to eyeshadow really, really well. It really intensifies any shimmer you put on top of it, and I find that it really does lengthen the wear time of my shadow because it does really like stick to it really, really well. So I really like this one. It's my number 2. I reach for this one on a pretty regular basis, especially if I'm not doing like a really intense eye look. Like I love using this when I'm doing a one shade look where I just want to put a shimmer on the lid and just blend it up into the crease. I love reaching for this on those days because it just intensifies everything. However, my number 1 that I have tried is this one, which is funny because it's like the most basic one. This is the Too Faced Shadow Insurance 24-Hour Anti-Crease Eyeshadow Primer. I really love this one. I wish it came in a doe foot like the Urban Decay one. I think this is my favorite packaging because it does have that doe foot where I can, you know, really control where I put it. But this formula, it can't be beat in my opinion. It's thick, but it's not too thick, and it's moisturizing, but it does mattify really well, which I think is really interesting because when I first put it on, I was like, oh god, this is just going to be the Milani one all over again. It's super oily, it's not going to do anything, but it's weird how it sets and you put powder on top of it and it holds everything in place all day long, which is crazy to me. It's not sticky at all, so I don't think it really amplifies the color of eyeshadow at all, but if you have oily eyelids, this is the best eyeshadow primer that I've ever tried that really does combat the creasing and the disappearing of eyeshadow really, really well. So those are my like quick little thoughts on a whole bunch of eyeshadow primers. I hope you guys liked today's video. Let me know down below if you would like me to do this with any other products, maybe like moisturizing primers, liquid highlighters. Let me know down below because I would be totally willing to make this into like a little series here. So I hope you guys liked today's video. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!